The next one is scintillation counter. We had discussed this scintillation counter yesterday also. That time I had a query. Now I had a query from Mayur, and now I will explain this in more detail so that you understand exactly what is a scintillation counter. Now, scintillation means small sparks of light or small amount of photons generated from a sample, similar to phosphorescence and fluorescence. So what happens here in this case is radiations will strike the material which is called a scintillator. Now this scintillator will give out photons when these radiations strike it. So these photons then will be used for measurement using a photomultiplier tube. So a combination of a scintillator and a photomultiplier tube is a scintillation counter. So here if you observe, this one here is the scintillator material and these two here are the photomultiplier tubes. So in this particular counting well or in this particular placement, if you observe that this is a scintillation vial or a scintillator. Whenever radiations will strike this, the atoms inside will get excited. They will go up to an excited level. When they are coming back to their original level, they will release photons. And these photons will be directly proportional to the radiations that are striking the material. And eventually then they will be amplified using the photomultiplier tubes. This is a scintillation counter. The explanation is written here. Scintillation counter is an instrument for detecting and measuring ionizing radiation by using excitation effect of the incident radiation on a scintillator material and detecting the resultant light pulses. It consists of scintillator and photomultiplier tubes. And the material which are used as scintillators are cesium iodide, sodium iodide, zinc sulfide, lithium iodide, and other materials are also available. But most popular is sodium iodide. This material is popularly used in most of the scintillation counters. So the operation is simple. See, whatever radiations will strike it, they will move to photomultiplier tube 1 and tube 2. And they go then to a coincidence circuit and the signal is sent out. Now, what is a coincidence circuit? If the radiation is occurring and you are measuring the output of the radiation. Now, there will be one radiation entering, it will generate some scintillation. Obviously, the scintillations will move out in all the directions. And those which are common, only those will be considered for the output. Hence, we are using a coincidence circuit. It is just a timing circuit which will measure the time at which the pulse will be given out by the photomultiplier tubes. Hence, a coincidence circuit is used here. The same explanation is written here. You can go through it later on. This is a well-type scintillation wherein the material is placed and you have the phototube and the output which is given to the indicator. Applications. Scintillator counters are used to measure radiation in a variety of applications, including handheld survey meters, personal and environmental monitoring of radioactive contamination, medical imaging, radiometry assay, nuclear security and nuclear plant safety. Several products have been introduced in the market utilizing scintillation counters. These include scintillation counters designed for freight terminals, border security, ports, Bay Bridge, then scrap metal yards, and contamination monitoring of nuclear waste. There are numerous applications for these because they give very good or they are very good in handling. They are rugged enough to be handled. The next one is semiconductor detectors. Semiconductor detectors are very similar to the semiconductor detectors that we have studied in our first chapter. Radiations will strike and there will be, it will work as a PN junction. So the PN junction barrier needs to be overcome. Once the PN junction barrier is overcome, current will flow. It will be usually placed in a reverse bias. Once the reverse bias is overcome, a current will flow which will be proportional to the radiations that are striking the semiconductor detector. They are also called as lithium drifted detectors. We come to the last part, that is pulse height analyzer. Now this pulse height analyzer is the one which was shown in your proportional block diagram also, in the proportional counter block diagram. Okay, now, or it was called a discriminator. Now what does a pulse height analyzer do? Suppose here in this diagram you are considering that is there is energy E1, radiations of energy E1, E2 and E3 entering into a photomultiplier tube. Now the photomultiplier tube is obviously going to generate current corresponding to E1, E2 and E3 as 3 pulses. Now these 3 pulses after pre-amplification, linear amplification now go to an upper and lower discriminator. Now this upper and lower discriminator are doing the function of neglecting the waves or neglecting the pulses which are not in their range. If you observe the graph below, you have pulses 1, 2 and 3. Okay. Now the discriminators are designed such that they will only detect this pulse. You can decide which pulse it needs to identify. Depending on the type of radiation we are trying to send, that is it alpha, beta, gamma, X-rays, accordingly, the upper and the lower discriminator settings can be set. So presently, it is set to identify this pulse number 2. So what will happen? When it passes through the upper discriminator and the lower discriminator, the lower discriminator eliminates the lower pulse, the upper discriminator discriminates the higher pulse, and what eventually passes out to the scalar or to the counter is pulse number 2, which is what we want. That means it will pass through a particular window or it will be a gate that will pass only that much amount of, only that height of pulses. So it is called a pulse height analyzer. It does not measure the height actually, but it will measure the voltage. The height is indicating the voltage of the pulse. Then it goes to an anti-coincidence circuit, wherein it is checking the signal coming from the upper discriminator and the lower discriminator both. And then it will go to the scalar or counter. You can use either this diagram or you can use this diagram. Both the diagrams are going to give you the same explanation. That is all for today's radiochemical methods. What we have seen is what is radioactivity, types of radioactive material, types of radioactivity. That means alpha, beta and gamma, their properties, their difference. We also saw what are the units for radioactivity. Then we saw the detectors for radioactivity. Ionization chamber. Then we have proportional counter, GM counter, and then we lastly saw the semiconductor or the scintillation counter and the semiconductor. Total 5 detectors we saw. And lastly, we are looking at the pulse height analyzer. From exam point of view, questions could be asked on type of radiations, comparison between radiations, type of detectors. You could separately be asked either ionization chamber, or you could be asked for a proportional counter or a GM counter. GMTube has been the favorite of examiners till now, but sometimes they do ask for proportional counters also. Whenever you are explaining any kind of detector, make sure that you draw the graph, this particular graph I'm talking about, which will explain the operating regions, of the various counters, and then you start with actually explaining the counter, either ionization chamber or proportional counter or GMTube. In all these three, you have to mention this graph. Also, if you are doing GM counter or if there's a question on GM counter, please don't forget to mention this GM counter graph, in which you will show the plateau region, such that it will be used for the operating region of the GM counter, or to specify the operating region of the GM counter. Lastly, pulse height analyzer. You need to draw the block diagram, explain what each block is going to do, and you will have to elaborate more on this graph and what the upper and the lower discriminator are actually doing. I hope this has been helpful to you all. Thank you very much.